Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Joy in Dementia. I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend Jenn. She is a fellow social entrepreneur with a really unique mission. But first, if you haven't met me, my name is Laura Smothers-Chu, and I am the CEO and founder of Befriended Heart, where I help long distance daughters navigate their parents' dementia. We are going to talk today about caregiver stress and finding balance daily. So many of us are, long distance daughters, of course, but we also have full time jobs. And some of us even have kids of our own, right? We have a life of our own. So it's really hard to balance out taking the best care of your forgetful parent and your caregiving parent, and then also managing sort of your own personal life, right? So Jenn is going to talk through some recommendations that she's used in her own life. Jenn Chan is the founder of Senior Shower Project. It's based in San Francisco, California. And I actually met her at my Certified Senior Advisor conference. And so we've been wanting to do this interview for quite a while now. And she, at Senior Shower Project, she celebrates caregivers with a party. So we're talking caregiver appreciation greeting cards, little gift boxes. There's even a party in a box too. And so the idea is that we as family caregivers really provide all the essentials. I mean, the love, the nurturing, the visits, all of those things. So, why not celebrate the family caregiver sort of like we do in baby showers, which I think is such an awesome idea. And she cared for her grandma for 10 years as a long distance caregiving granddaughter. And Jenn also now facilitates support groups for dementia caregivers. So she hears so many of our struggles as long distance daughters. Welcome to Joy in Dementia. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little more about yourself and your expertise?
I was a caregiver for my grandma for 10 years. From my caregiving experience, I just really, truly developed a passion for caregiving and couldn't think of really doing anything else after dealing with just I guess you can talk about like the in your face part of humanity, right? From life to death. So from caregiving, I went to entrepreneurship. And at the same time, I decided to take on two certifications, a certified senior advisor credential. And then I also went into taking on more classes to become a certified caregiving consultant. So working with older adults and working with caregivers, and the combo was just what really speaks to my heart, and that's how I really want to give back to the caregiver community.
That's awesome, Jenn. And you also had a job too when you were caregiving for your grandma.
It was a sales and marketing job, and I was really promoting beverage brands in the natural markets of the world. At some point, I just wasn't passionate about talking about drinks anymore. I really wanted to talk about.
Go figure, right?
It was great companies to work for, or their transferable skills to what I really want to do and what I really want to share with the world with my passion project.
So you talked about taking care of your grandma for 10 years. Did she have dementia?
My grandma did not have dementia. She had diabetes, swollen legs, ankles, and then she had to be in a wheelchair. And then because of her just her aging body, then she became incontinent. So definitely did a lot of diaper duties towards the end. She made it to 98, so that's a good section of life.
Wow.
Yeah, so our family does relate it to a lot to using her mind. She was a big gambler. um, Chinese fun pastime game would be mahjong. So she's just gambling all the time, socializing, strategizing how to make money, and that was her game. And we let her play all the time, except for when I had to change her diapers. But that really kind of kept her going. She went from independence to dependence.
Let's see. So you were about an hour away from your grandma?
Yeah, an hour. I was so in the San Francisco Bay Area. My grandma was in San Jose, and at that time, I was living in San Francisco, and I started caregiving for my grandma in my early 20s. So this is me in my early 20s living the big life in San Francisco, but realizing that my grandma needed more help. She was physically becoming more dependent. Like I said, she was her swollen ankle. She was on a walker, wheelchair to get around. So I made it where my schedule was every Wednesday. Wednesday night and Sundays was my caregiving shift. We were fortunate to have a family, big Chinese family, where I had my brother, my cousins, my aunties, my uncles.
That's great.
Yeah,
And
yeah, an hour drive.
yeah, so an hour drive, 2 days a week for 10 years. That's kind of a lot. We'll get into recommendations in just a second, but I want to ask how this caregiver experience helped shape your career in, creating the Senior Shower Project.
Thanks for asking that. My caregiving experience showed me that the skills to take care of a dependent person can really be applied to anybody on the human spectrum. How my startup started was that I was actually at my friend's baby shower, the first time I ever attended a baby shower. And this is when I was in the midst, like in the thick of taking care of grandma. I was taking cooking for her, bathing, transferring, toileting, driving her around, doing all these things. And then I went into this party called this baby shower party, and I saw that everybody was really happy to share advice for a new parent, a new mom, and giving all these gifts, things you need to take care of another dependent person. And everybody was excited about it. And I said, okay, well, there's a party to really celebrate and highlight people to take care of a dependent person, such as a new infant, newborn, somebody that can't take care of themselves. And there's so many people getting together, family and friends, helping to at least have the new parents start off for success in the very beginning. I said, well, these caregiving tasks are very similar to taking care of an older person. With all due respect to the older person, it's just from independence to dependence. Same thing, right? Got to bathe, got to change, got to wash the clothes, got to do the medicine, check doctor's appointments, all of that. And at that point was when I had that aha moment in my startup, Senior Shower Project. And the whole concept of that is to celebrate family caregivers with a party. The same thing as when somebody's about to become a new parent. I wanted to create a party, kind of like a new tradition, family tradition, where somebody's going to start taking care of a older adult in their family. There should be a party. Same concept, have everybody get together, share caregiving advice, bring gifts to really help this new person, and let the new caregiver know that they have a full support group at the very beginning of the journey.
Yes, I
At
love
the
that.
very beginning, because that's where the core could be talking about, like developing a care team, whether it's
Yeah.
family members or friends or even colleagues, coworkers. Basically, intergenerational piece of it. If the younger generation can see, go to this party and know down the in the timeline of life that at some point somebody in the family needs to take care of an older person. And it doesn't have to be in the dark. It can just be in a really positive setting, like we're celebrating this. It's accepted. This is something that we should do for our family members. And if that can be passed down from generation to generation through an experience, visually by them being present, seeing how the family is communicating and bridging everybody together for that moment. I think that could truly move the needle.
Yes.
Maybe you can comment on this, Laura. Like, how often do people sit and talk about caregiving outside of the healthcare setting?
No one really talks about it because we all feel so alone and isolated. And that's why I started Befriended Heart, to be like, this is what I'm going through.
Yes.
And when I actually talk about that in
Mhm.
public, which most people don't, I have a lot of people come to me, and that's why you and I have done support groups and everything, because dementia and caregiving is stigmatized, unfortunately. But I love your idea of really turning the concept on its head
Mhm.
and creating that village ahead of time, and not, the burden is not all on the caregiver to create that village, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And then I've also thought of it as the party can be a like a proactive and positive beginning type of support group. So it's not just I'm in
uh,
crisis. I'm in crisis mode. Everything's hitting the fan. I need help. Which is where there are many resources for that. I think I would want people to maybe start a support group early on, prepare for it,
mhm.
or talk about it, and also at the same time at this party, it's an identification moment, Laura. This is the piece that I really like. It's because you are now going to be becoming a caregiver. That's a life. That's a milestone, right? You're the caregiver to be. You're about to be a caregiver, and that terminology, then your family and friends, and the younger ones start learning about what a caregiver is,
Mm.
and and then they can understand like, oh, caregiving, I've heard about it, I've seen, so okay, I know what this is. And in this world, in this digital age, keywords are very important. So if you know you're looking for a caregiver resources, boom, a bunch of things are going to pop up, whether it's
Absolutely.
corporate resources, all the things.
Yeah.
So that I feel truly is just having your circle of friends, knowing that you've become a caregiver, and they start becoming your eyes and ears. Imagine if your family and friends and colleagues say, hey, I got this flyer for caregiving. That's how's caregiving. Here you go. They'll start sending you things so you don't feel like you have to look for everything.
Let's get into the three biggest recommendations you have, Jen, for long distance caregiving daughters who are trying to balance all the things.
One of my big things I've learned over time and through just the years of caregiving is, and I didn't learn this overnight. Again, this is through trial and error. And it's really learning to set boundaries. Setting boundaries isn't necessarily always just like setting a wall, like a physical boundary wall. Like you can't cross this. It's really building a container for conversation, for capacity, and also for just your family and friend circle to know where you're at. Very easy way to talk about setting boundaries is to let people know about your schedule. It was important for me to tell my circle, my network, that Wednesday nights and Sundays are grandma days, and that they know that's the day. Please don't bother me Wednesday night. I'm probably going to be really busy with caregiving, and also on Sundays I've got family things. But the other thing was also to build a container for me, knowing that, oh, I don't want to be bummed out that I'm gone every Wednesdays and Sundays and I can't do things in San Francisco and hang out with my friends. And I even asked, don't tell my friends, don't invite me to things on Wednesdays. It's like sometimes I don't want to have to keep saying no and have to keep reminding you Wednesdays are family days, but that's just the reality of my life. And so by letting my friends know what my schedule is and letting them know where my boundaries were to hang out, or to have space to hang out, that it actually over time it became a conversation piece where they would come up to me and say, hey, Wednesdays is coming up, how's grandma doing? Okay, cool, yeah, that's right, yeah, have fun. They were able to check in on me,
That
and
is
it
so
was,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was wonderful. So it wasn't a hard topic to start. I'm like, thanks for asking about grandma. Yeah, let's talk about it, let's talk about her. So that was good.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did want to talk about is capacity. Some of your listeners, they have family members, they're taking care of their own children, they're sandwich caregivers, or they have a full time job. There's a lot of things going on. And as a caregiver, a lot of people are going to ask many things of you. One of the things that is good is setting boundaries of, hey, I don't have capacity right now to answer this question. But I want you to know that conversation is important to me, and I can talk to you about that later. And is 15 minutes okay? A little bit later. But right now, I don't have capacity. I'm maxed out, like complete mental boundaries. Like I can't even hear anything you're saying anymore. Okay, but it creates mutual respect. Like okay, good. You're maxed out. That's your boundary. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say learning how to set boundaries in terms of your time schedule, your routines, but also emotional capacity to be able to talk to someone. I mean, Laura, I mean, have you ever just kind of lost it on a phone call? Like, what is going on? But you didn't mean to do it. You were just totally maxed out on everything. But if you
Totally.
kind of
Totally.
take a
Ask my
moment,
husband. Like, yeah, if your brain's not working, you're going to be distracted and not paying attention to them anyway, and it's going to cause a disagreement. So you're really trying to give them a heads up. And I love that you say, this conversation is important to me. Can I talk to you about it, and have an X date or a time or something that works better, because then they'll know that they have your full attention.
right, and you're not dismissed. They're not. Yeah, you're not dismissing them. You're just not in the right proper space, and that also takes practice.
Totally, totally. And can you talk a little bit about setting a boundary in your job? Because I know we get really scared that we're going to get fired, or, so we hold this all in and we're internally suffering and not communicating to our boss, right? So,
Right.
what's a good way to set boundaries with, in your job with your boss?
It's been an interesting ride for me. So I would also say that setting boundaries is, I can flip that to really more being empowering yourself, with what your needs are. For me, when I decided to become a caregiver for my grandma, I just wanted to quit my job because I needed to spend more time with grandma. I was driving a lot to work and I just didn't have quality of time. So I talked to my manager and said, I need to spend time with my grandma. And instead of creating more like work time flexibility, they just offered me more money. And I said, it's really not about the money. It's about quality time with my grandma. My job's not changing. I still need to work on this project. That's not going to give me more time with grandma. So that's when I realized that was really important to me. And in the job setting, when I got my next jobs, I made it a point to express my needs and my lifestyle. So this is more of a negotiating factor. I wanted to work for an employer that actually supported caregiving and supported what I had going on. So it became a point of just me saying, hey, if you want to hire me, great. You need to know that I take care of my grandma. I need to have it to be flexible. I need to be on call, but I guarantee you that I will get the job done. I'm truly dedicated. In fact, because I'm so on point with caregiving, one of my biggest skills is project management and time management because I
Right.
have to stick with all the appointments. I gotta be on track. So if you need to know, one of my strengths is that I will be committed to all the deadlines. If this is a skill that you value, then bring me on your team. But if you can't support my caregiving lifestyle, then maybe we're not at that match. So I always advocate, maybe it's not setting boundaries in a job setting, but it's really matching the company culture to what is truly important to you. For your listeners, I say if your employers aren't on board with that, I think it's time to have a conversation to see, what's your trajectory at that company? How long do you want to work for them? What value are they bringing to your life, and how much more you want to contribute to them? Or perhaps you could be the catalyst to bring a caregiving benefits program to the employee setting. So
Mhm.
I see it more as like a power shift. If
Totally.
that's feasible, again, and this is the ideal world. At the end of the day, though, sometimes you have to just pay your bills. So that's the job at hand. But if there is that room for conversation, I highly advocate for all caregivers to talk to their employers or their managers and say, hey, let's talk about caregiver wellness programs. Think about it. There's employee benefits, right? There's child care, there's gym memberships, there's all these different perks. So start talking about, can we add a perk for next year's rollout program to include some caregiver wellness programs?
Yes, and a similar experience that we talked about is like I had a job where I felt like I was on call all the time. That was when my mom gave me a call that my dad had wandered out of the house and he got lost. Like I just realized I couldn't manage all of that stress at the same time. And so I ended up leaving that job and actually going back to my parents and trying to get them the power of attorney and all of that stuff
Mhm.
and getting my dad's diagnosis.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, as I was taking that break, I had an employer was interested in hiring me, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, I'll apply for this job. This looks good. I need to pay the bills, right?"
Yep.
And when I had my final interview and I met him in person, I did the same thing as you, Jen. I said, this is actually what I need. I'm a long distance caregiver. I take care of my dad. I really need to have Fridays like to work from home.
Yep.
And so I was just very specific. And I feel like he was actually more wanting to hire me, right? Because I think when it's the balls in our court and we know what we need to do and we're committed and we're devoted, then they want to hire us more, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel that confidence. And if you're representing your family member that well, then you're sure going to promote the company that well. So,
Yeah. Good for you. I'm glad
yeah.
you did that.
Yeah, you too. You too. So it is possible. And I would say it's definitely easier before you take the job to have that conversation. But certainly talking to your boss about what you're experiencing and what your limitations are, because it is going to be a reflection on your work. So if they know what you're going through, there's going to be some more understanding there and they might be a little more flexible.
Of course. Also want to mention that EAP, Employee Assistance Program, there are also numbers that you can call through your employers if you need to just talk to a counselor or anybody about like caregiving. You can start off small, talk to your manager about your caregiving, and if there just isn't that much flexibility, at least say, hey, well, are there any phone numbers I can call right now through EAP? Because caregiving, my wellness is important. I want to continue to be productive at work. but caregiving is a real thing for me right now. So let's do that.
Absolutely. So our first recommendation is to make sure you set boundaries. So letting your friend circle and everyone know when our caregiving days. And then the second thing is trying to see if you can get more flexibility in your current job. If you're noticing that you're feeling stress a lot from the job that's intersecting with the caregiver responsibilities, and maybe starting that conversation, or at least making sure your boss knows what your commitment is as far as time and emotion. And so, do you have a second recommendation for us, Jen?
Be proactive versus reactive. A lot of things can come at play with caregiving, and we react a lot because new things pop up all the time. And I think one of the good things is to practice being prepared. And also, if you find that you had an incident where it could have gone better, because we're human and we make mistakes, that we learn from that and see if we can be more proactive next time to prevent something from happening. And the example I like to use is just I change a lot of diapers for grandma, and there's just times where she doesn't know when she soils it, and maybe I had a really long day and I'm really tired, and I just like overreact, like, again another diaper. Where am I going to get all these diapers? There's no diapers around. Or we can be like going to dinner somewhere, and I don't have things, and I didn't prepare for it, and then I realized, okay, that's adding to my stress. I can prevent that stress from a blowout. Not get mad at me, myself, or get mad at her, or get mad at the situation. How can I change that? What can I learn? Okay, well, if diapers going to be an issue, I'm going to put diapers in every single single room, hand sanitizer, all my preparation kits, like a
Yep.
second, double, triple set in the car, or maybe different rooms. Make sure I have enough on hand, because at the end of the day, it's really still, you're doing compassionate work. It's from the heart. It's, you're reacting because you want your loved one to be comfortable, and for my experiences, to be clean. And how do I do that? I'm not frustrated at the situation. It's just the end result is I want her to be comfortable and clean and taken care of. And how can I be better? And it's really a mind shift of, okay, can I be more proactive next time? Or am I just honestly being reactive all the time? How can I change? Because that will decrease the level of stress. And I did that a lot on my drives, when I drove from San Francisco back to San Jose to see my grandma. I would call my brother or call somebody else that was there earlier. Debrief me, what happened? Is there something I need to pick up, or did grandma have a good day? Maybe I can emotional prepare myself,
Mm-hmm.
to be available, to have capacity, right? Back to capacity to
Yes.
be for her. Or if I know it's not a good day, then I know what I need to get done. So being proactive, but finding points when you may or may not have been overreactive, and then kind of switching that next time.
Totally. And I think too that, especially with a forgetful parent, your mood, like, they suck it up like a sponge. You know what I mean? Your grandma had diabetes. So, I mean, regardless of what anyone is going through, we
Mhm.
pick up on each other's emotions and we end up reflecting it ourselves, right? So,
Yeah.
if you, one of the extra benefits of noticing when you're reactive is you can actually have the person that you're taking care of be in a better mood as well, right? Because you are managing your stress as you come and interact with them.
So the next time, figure out, okay, if this situation happens again, how would I want to react?
Yes. Yeah, I love mindfulness. It can really stop our minds in their tracks, with the stories that our brain is telling us, which may or may not be true, really kind of see like what is the core of what's going on.
Right.
So the first recommendation was setting boundaries with your friends, family members, and your boss. The second one is being proactive versus reactive. So trying to get a heads up from people, whether it's other family members that are taking care of your forgetful parent, or if it's even a paid caregiver, trying to get, what's the skinny on, how dad's doing or whatever. And then what's a third recommendation you have for us, Jen?
I love this one. It is carving out some type of quiet Zen time for yourself daily. And when I say Zen time, it's really, my definition is really to check in on your own well being, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and also spiritually. Because as a caregiver, it's important to know what space we're in so we can assess how we can provide the care for our loved ones. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of other people. That's just a straight formula, right? And so by making a daily practice to have time to check in on yourself, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's actually became part of my routine as well, that I communicated to my family and friends that my morning routine was my morning walk. Nobody messed with my morning walk because that was my zen time. I my phone was on, but I wasn't listening to music. I was not listening to podcasts. I was just doing my morning walk, clearing my thoughts, checking in with what I had to do for the day and how I felt. And it got to the point where even my grandma, the next in the morning when I got checked in on her before I went on my walk, she would tell me to have a good walk, but when I come back she'll have 5 6 different things for me to do, and I said great. But she knew, then it became her schedule too. Then she knows, like, okay, she's gonna go on our walk, but by the time I come back I'm gonna give all these things for me to do. And I said, okay, that's fine, thanks for respecting my space. And
Yeah.
then it
So
became
you
the point
kind
of,
of you did set a boundary by having this morning walk. You sort of set a boundary on your caregiving. You know what I mean? Just to take a break from everything and
break from
for
everything,
yourself.
disconnected. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then when I didn't do my walks, then my family and my friends would say, is there something wrong? She didn't go on her walk today. Something is wrong. And sometimes it is. So it kind of became this thing where people then checked in on my well being. It started off as me carving out time, like this is my little pocket, but then other people were concerned if I didn't do my well being Zen type of walk, which was, I think it really showed that in the midst of everything, while you're caregiving for other people can care for you. When you tell them, this is my zen time, this is my power time, recharge, relax, rejuvenate, whatever that time is, somehow in the conversation, by sharing what I do, my circle became an advocate for that because they knew I needed it.
Wow, that is such a great point. And I think too, one of the things to mention is there's so many things in life that we don't have control over, you know, where like whether it's our kids or our job or even caregiving and dementia, we have a loss like probably every time we visit our loved one, you
Mm.
know? And so this is the one time where you can actually control, right, Jen? So when you were walking around the neighborhood, you decided where to walk. You decided how quickly you wanted to walk. You decided what to think about when you were walking. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's really taking advantage of that time where you can refill, rejuvenate, as you said, but it's also a way to prepare, right? So it's, I mean, this is all kind of, you know, intersecting, but it's a way to think about how to be proactive if you're already checking in with yourself and seeing what's going on today. How can I be best prepared for that? And I know for me, I do it through meditation. And honestly, I haven't been able to meditate for the past 10 days because my dad passed away. And I normally, you know, it's a regular practice for me every day and it helps me put my thoughts together and exactly how I'm feeling so then it doesn't come out in a, you know, disjointed, frustrated way, right? Like in my home life. So try to do it on a daily basis. You'll notice like really does throw off your day if you don't do your daily routine of doing that because we are emotional creatures. It's hard for us to think rationally sometimes because we're trying to be impulsive and fight or flight and all of those things. So this type of zen time really gets you in touch with like, okay, how exactly am I feeling? Okay, I'm feeling that way. Now how do I want to respond if this happens or what was going on in my environment, right? Instead of react. So going back over again, the recommendations is setting boundaries, being proactive versus reactive, and having daily quiet Zen time, as Jen would refer to it. And what would you say to long distance daughters who just say, like, you know, those sound like really great things that I could do. I just feel like I have no time. How do I make these things manageable?
Yeah, limited time is a real thing. So I feel for all of you out there. I relate these type of daily practices really similar to New Year's resolutions. Make them very digestible, feasible little nuggets that you know you can hit. So when you can hit that mark, then you can expand it a little bit. So for the quiet Zen time, my walks are usually 20 minutes, but if you can't find the 20 minutes, or it doesn't even need to be walking, it can be while you're driving, it can be while you're at the grocery store, it can be even while you're in the bathroom, whatever you're doing, you can take it into a small piece. It can be 1 minute, it can be 30 seconds, it can be 5 seconds. It can even be 1 second if you just say the word Zen. Okay. All right. And then if that worked for you, then add another second the next day, another 5 seconds. So make these daily practices incremental so that you can actually track your progress. So say after a whole week, you say, I started off 1 second. Now I'm up to 7 seconds of Zen time. Woohoo! Congratulate yourself. Very
Yeah.
small. I want you to feel like these are doable and that you're happy to do it because it's feasible and you know you can do it. And going back to the proactive reactive, that's just going to happen on case by case scenario. If you can remember to do it, you don't need to carve out time for that. Really, just find out like, am I being reactive or proactive? What happened today? Okay, just be present. That doesn't take too much time. Just figure out why you did what you did, and if you want to do it the same way or do it a different way the next time. And then going to setting boundaries, it's really a matter of communication. That also doesn't take too much time, but it's just if people are asking about what's going on with you today or can I help you, then you can say, perfect. Ah, Wednesdays are my crazy days. Can you just check in on me real quick? Thanks. Like it's not having this big drawn out conversation and tell everybody in your circle these are your boundaries. It can be from just small individual conversations until it becomes a bigger picture for everybody. So just small digestible pieces and then going from there. And if those little pieces don't work, guess what? You have the power. You can change that piece. You can change it to maybe you don't want quiet Zen time. Maybe you want crazy, noisy, loud time. If you want that, then do it. Just turn up the volume, dance like crazy, feel good, and then carry on. So really make it yours.
Yeah, totally. Because you are the one that knows what refills you or fulfills
Mhm.
you, right? So
Yeah.
some people do it through art or some people
Yeah.
listen to music. It's really
Right.
individual. The
Mhm.
other thing I'll say too, and this is, one of the only good things about taking care of someone with dementia is that if you make a mistake one day, they likely won't remember, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll be beating yourself up
Yeah.
and they will have no idea. So it's a chance to just redo everything. And so what Jen was talking about is like sort of being more mindful in your interactions or, having a chance to be more proactive versus reactive because we all will have reactive moments, right? Like there's not unfortunately with dementia everything is unpredictable, like we don't know when our mother will stop being able to eat food, right? It might be in the next visit, it might be in the next 5 visits, but that's why it's so important to sort of center yourself before that visit and emotionally prepare yourself that you are enjoying every moment with this person, and really again getting in touch with your emotions so you're much more likely to respond to an unknown circumstance, whether it's a crisis or something, like you'll be more resilient. Okay, Jen, so if you could distill those three recommendations into one takeaway point for long distance caregiving daughters, what would you say?
Caregiving is a lifestyle. It truly is. It is your life. It's the way you want to create your life to be. So I would say make it yours. Don't let caregiving be take over you. You can be the caregiver. You can have the power to become the most beautiful, awesome, wonderful, energetic, or really chill caregiver you want to be. Because what's important is to not lose yourself in caregiving. There's going to be a lot of things coming at you, the chaos, the responsibilities, the new information, and as Laura, as you said, with dementia, the unknown, the decline, when is it going to happen? If you can stay grounded and have little pieces of you sprinkled through your caregiving days or your caregiving journey, then that can be part of your life. But for me, it was really a balance of having my friends, the Zen time, and I didn't get to talk too much about it, but also dancing was really good. Like a lot of those things made me still feel like I can still be a part of me while doing all these tasks. Caregiving is like project management. There's so many things to get done and to coordinate and to communicate. So throw in other fun things or things that make you happy, things that remind yourself why you're doing this caregiving, and then you will shine. I truly believe if you sprinkle a little bit of all of the things that you can into the caregiving journey, that people will see you as, oh, that's it's Laura. She's a caregiver and she does this and everything else. I don't know how she does it, but she does it very smoothly. So I would highly advocate for all of you to figure out if you can squeeze in not just all the caregiving tasks that you need to take care of during the day, but say, well, if I'm doing all these things, I might as well throw in some more stuff into the mix. And this is stuff that maybe you're passionate about, that maybe you have forgotten to do in a while, and just put it in the formula. You can create this formula, and that's the lifestyle that I'm talking about, the caregiving lifestyle.
Yes, I love that. And that basically talks about joy and dementia in a nutshell. Dementia is very sad, it's very difficult, it sucks, right? But you can build in joy into that experience so it doesn't become you, that you can still be you. And knowing what, again, we talked about, what refills you or what fulfills you build that in ahead of time. And the other thing too that's so important, Jen, I know in my experience, and I'm sure in your experience as well, is also building up those other relationships, right? So like building up my marriage and building up, if you have kids, like doing fun family time type things with them and not just having like, oh, I have to make their lunch this morning, and I have to clean their room and all of that stuff. It's really leading with love, right? In your caregiving and as a compassionate family member and friend. So it's kind of like choosing your own adventure, right? So the
Yeah.
dementia is not the adventure that we chose, but we choose other things that balance out the suffering of dementia and create some joy.
I absolutely agree with it. Build in the joy, build in the sparks, whatever those sparks are. Yeah.
So, Jen, I think you have an offer for my viewers.
Yes, I do have an offer. And with my startup, I design lots of caregiver celebratory appreciation products and currently developing the gift boxes and party kits. But right now, I have caregiver appreciation cards that are available. And what I'd like to offer for all your listeners for the rest of the year is a 10% discount on everything that's on my online store. 10% off whatever you guys want to buy on the store. They're all really just to the heart of caregivers speaking to caregivers. I really call them my love notes to you, the caregivers.
Yes,
So
I love that. And I was just looking for a card because I know I have it out there and everything just fell down. So, so here is one that I have that says,
oh yeah.
yeah,
As our caregiver story unfolds.
yeah. So it's such cool designs, and what I love is I can give this to my caregiver parents. You can give this to like a paid caregiver if your family hired a paid caregiver. If there is someone in your friend group that is going to start caregiving, you can give them a card. So I just think it's so applicable. So thank you so much, Jen.
Yeah, thank you. I believe in snail mail and I believe in tangible goods. It's something nice to kind of touch and feel, and especially when it's a really special written note.
Totally, totally. So I will put that discount code
Yeah.
in the bottom description here. And where is the best place for my viewers to find you, Jen?
Yeah, check me out on my website, seniorshowerproject.com. I'll be constantly posting new products and everything. So I'm excited. I'm excited to celebrate all of you. Check out the website, fun things. It's all the love and positivity and joy.
Yes, enjoy. Well, thank you so much, Jen. It was really a pleasure in talking with you about your super unique idea. And I will definitely be using that discount code myself. So thanks again for offering that.
Right on. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching my channel and tuning in to another great interview. If you enjoyed this material, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.